cups are finally back, and that means that the drama is here too. We have so much drama on both NA and EU. We got to see MrSavage versus Ferdoxy offspawn finally, Peterbot versus Pollo offspawn in a Div Cup finals, was Clix robbed out of a Cash Cup win, and so much more. We're going to see who starts though. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, as we are so close to 110,000 subscribers. So if you're new to the channel, just please hit that sub button and turn on notifications as well. If you guys want to support me even more, the best way to do so is by using code KDOG in the Fortnite item shop. Without further ado though, we have a lot to go over, so let's just get this video started. So in first place of the NA Central Final Cash Cup, the trio that just got back together, honestly a surprising win from Rapid, Khanada, and Bolts. Now this team honestly put on an absolute masterclass today, finishing with 414 points, winning 3 out of their 6 matches. So this trio literally won half of the games today. They got the most elims of the day with 42 total elims, and they were the most consistent team as well, getting an average placement of 4.6. Now to say these guys went crazy is honestly an understatement. Their match history from today was a 9 elimination win, 3 elimination 6, 8 elimination 2nd. Honestly, their only bad game today was game 4, where they got a 4 elimination 17th, but then they capped off the tournament with back 9 elimination wins. This is looking like the high ground team on NA right now, especially with Peter and Pollo contesting each other, which we'll talk about that later on how that actually went. But Rapid, Khanada, and Bolts are currently looking like they are in such a good position to be able to qualify for LAN this season, just based off of this first Cash Cup of the season right here. You guys also have to remember, there is only 2 total Div Cups this season before FNCS starts. Khanada was also giving so much praise to Rapid for being just such a good high ground IGL. A lot of people were kind of coming at this trio because they're saying that they get carried by dashes, and Rapid's only a good IGL when he has dashes. So I mean, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see how this season goes for this trio, but as of right now, after this first Cash Cup, they might be in contention for potentially winning this FNCS. And as somebody that has been so down on this trio, it was never because I like dislike any of these players or nothing. I'm literally cool with both Bolts and Rapid too. I'm just the type of person that says it as it is, and before today, this trio really did not show me any reason why I should be high on them. I ended up predicting them to finish in 3rd place in the Cash Cup today, and they went out there and shocked me and ended up winning the whole thing. So huge shout out to these guys. 2nd place, now I know before you Clix fans end up getting mad, it is the trio of Clix, Higgs, and Yamzo. They finished with 367 points, won 2 out of their 6 matches, and got the 3rd most elims in this tournament with 38 total elims. Now their match history today was consistent as it always is for this trio. They got an 8 elimination 6, 7 elimination win, 8 elimination win, 8 elimination 9th, 4 elimination 9th, and then a 7 elimination 3rd in the very final game. Now in that very final game is where I see a lot of the Clix fans saying that Clix would have won this Cash Cup because Yamzo actually ended up crashing in the very final game, and Clix, Higgs, and Yamzo were up by just 3 points on Rapid going into that game. Now I don't think it would have been like necessarily guaranteed they would have won the whole Cash Cup even if Yamzo didn't crash, because I mean Bolts, Khanada, and Rapid literally won the very final game of the tournament too. It's not like Bolts' trio did bad in the last game and that would have gave Clix a better chance if Yamzo never crashed. Like Clix's trio would have literally had to place either 2nd or 1st also. But this does also kind of go back to the very final Div Cup that we had, I'm pretty sure 2 seasons ago now, where Peterbot and Cold ended up crashing for 2 of the games, and then Clix ended up winning the Cash Cup and ending Peter's win streak. These are just things that happen in the game. It's completely out of everybody's control, and I don't think we should be discrediting one team just because something unfortunate happened to the other one. Of course, there was definitely a chance that Clix could have won this Cash Cup. At the same time though, I feel like Clix should have been in a lot better position, that it didn't have to come down to the very final game for them to be potentially winning the Cash Cup. Like these guys still have the best POI on the map, completely uncontested. They should honestly be like far and away the best team in this lobby, with Peter and Pollo contesting each other. And so I'm not necessarily just gonna sit up here and make excuses for them when they did have a lot of opportunities to win still. Third place, we had the trio of Cooper and Curly on 330 points. They won 1 of these 6 matches and got 36 total elims as well. Pretty solid day out of this trio. The LAN qualified team still looking very good. And 4th place is a trio that is still looking to be able to qualify for LAN of Booga, Threats, and Craze. Now I feel like every single leaderboard I go over, the trios of either Booga's trio, Muzz's trio, Rides' trio, these guys are always just stuck in like 4th to 6th place purgatory. But hey, when it comes down to grand finals, if they're able to finish top 4, they should 100% be able to qualify for LAN. Booga's trio finished with 270 points and 27 elims as well today. Pretty consistent day from them. them for the first tournament for the brand new trio. And then in 5th and 6th place is also the brand new trio. Starting off with in 5th place, we have G Money, Virgo, and Rise. So Rise gets dropped and then ends up outplacing Muzz in the first Div Cup of the season, finishing with 265 points. And then just under them in 6th place is Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx on 234. Now, believe it or not, out of the 10 total teams in the top 10, Muzz's trio finished with the 9th most elims. They only got 20 elims in 6 total matches, which I honestly thought that these guys would be a little bit more fraggy than that. But still, a top 6 finish in their first tournament together is pretty decent, all things considered. Now let's get on to the off-spawn fight that we have between Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot versus Pollo, Acorn, and Agers. In 7th place was the trio of Ritual, Cold, and Peter. They finished with 221 points, weren't able to win any games today, but still finished with the 2nd most elims, getting 40 total eliminations. Now, if you're wondering how the actual off-spawn score went, it was 3-3, so it did go completely even. So my prediction on that was right, and I was also almost able to go a complete 5 for 5 on my top 5 predictions as well. So a pretty good day on the NA predictions for me. If you look at their match history, in the games that they were able to make it off spawn, they went on to just absolutely frag out. They got a 14 elimination 3rd and a 17 elimination 4th in the only 2 games that they were able to make it into the end game. And that's kind of what I've been saying all season long from them. If this trio is able to make it off spawn, they look like far and away the best team in the entire world. I want to give a huge shout out to Ritual, because Ritual in these off spawns was honestly kind of carrying Peterbot and Cold. In the games that they were able to win off spawn, Ritual had the most elims on the team every single time, and I'm pretty sure even multiple games he was able to eliminate all 3 of them. So great off spawn performance from Ritual, and pretty solid performance from the team in general, considering they only made it into 2 end games. 8th place was Takiesu and Vert, 9th place was Noisy, Creon, and Tony, and then rounding out the top 10 was the trio of Agers, Acorn, and Pollo. Now, I'm not gonna lie, in my notes all the way up until game 5, I was really disappointed in what I actually saw from these guys. Even though they were almost completely even off spawn versus Peterbot, in the games that they won off spawn, it was a 7 elimination 11th and a 5 elimination 11th. And I was just thinking in my head, how do you have probably the 2nd best drop spot on the map, absolutely insane loot, and you're doing almost nothing with it in the end game? And then finally in the very final game, this trio showed us their real potential, getting a 14 elimination 2nd. We even got some funny moments between Peterbot and Pollo when Pollo was in Vaxity's chat and he said, Peterbot needs mythics, Miro didn't need mythics to win. Of course, at the end of the day, it is all fun between these 2 guys, since Peter and Pollo are literally still best friends. They live together and everything, but these guys absolutely live for competition, and they probably just love going against each other at the end of the day. As of right now, I really don't see any of these guys leaving the drop spot. Some other big names we had just outside that top 10 was like Visuals, Braids, and Diminish in 11th, Oliver OG finished in 12th, Aviv, Skittles, and Bryce, the team that is actually contesting Visuals off spawn, in 13th place. I think both of these trios ended up going 3-3 off spawn with each other as well. We had like Seti, Hari, and Cammy in 16th, Bucky, Okus, and Mason in 24th, and that was about it for all of the big names today in the finals. Let's move on to both the final damage leader and stat leader. So starting off with in 10th place for the most damage, getting 4,585 was Cooper, 9th was Peterbot, 8th was Sphinx, 7th was Khanada, 6th was Diminished, 5th was Muzz, 4th was G Money, 3rd was Clix. So the only person on his whole trio to be able to be on the top 10 list, and he is in 3rd place exactly. Great tournament from Clix. 2nd place was Threats, and then in 1st place, oh my goodness, Bolts might be back. 6,672 damage and a 3.36 damage ratio in a set lobby finals. What a first tournament performance from Bolts. This is the Bolts I want to see every single week. And then going on to the stat leaders, it's looking like a wall of bolts here. We have most damage was bolts, obviously. Most elims was bolts with 18. Most assists was bolts with 41. The damage ratio of the bolts on 3.36. So bolts literally led this tournament in every single major statistical category. Insane tournament performance from him. And it was honestly so much fun to watch. Now EU was where the drama was at, so let's just move on to how that tournament went now. Now in EU, I don't think I have seen this much drama in an EU tournament in literal seasons at this point. We have a lot to talk about. Let's start off with our winner though, of Vanya, Pixie, and Marius. Now these guys definitely probably had the most impressive tournament of the day. They were only able to load into 5 total games, but quite literally won 3 out of those 5 matches. Their match history is honestly scary similar. It's a 0 elimination 12th, 12 elimination win, 9 elimination win, 2 elimination 12th, and a 7 elimination win. So these guys today were either able to win the game or they finished in exactly 12th place. They also finished tied with the third most elims in this tournament in only 5 games is so impressive for the defending FNCS champions. These guys continue to look so good. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys think they are still the best trio in all of EU. Second place is honestly a little bit of a surprising one to me of Akira, Kirma, and Wurex. They finished with 278 points, won 1 out of their 6 matches, and got 28 total elims as well. Super consistent day from them as well. They were the second most consistent team, getting an average placement of a 7.8. These guys honestly weren't really on my radar, but they have to be now, and I am 100% going to be looking out for these guys for the rest of the season. Third place is Ghost Hyper and Firen on 264. Fourth place is Pink Nebs and Kiro on 252. I think Pink Nebs and Kiro are still probably my favorite team left that hasn't already qualified for LAN, that I think is probably going to be like guaranteed to be able to do it this season. They always look so good in the Div Cups, constantly placing top 5, and I 100% think they can translate that success into grand finals now too. Fifth place, starting to prove some people wrong, we got Wheat, Nefrizzi, and Lucia. Now the whole narrative around these guys last season was that they needed the forecast to be able to place well. In this season so far, it looks like they are starting to put some of those narratives to bed, finishing in 5th place in their first tournament of the season. They were also the third most consistent team with literally no forecast, by the way, too. They didn't have a single game outside of the top 10 until their very final game, so this match history could have looked even better than it already does. 6th place is a trio I'm super happy to see here of Comeback Shark and Blaha. They definitely weren't necessarily the most consistent team, but they finished with the second most elims, which is a very promising sign of things to come for these guys. If you look at their match history, whenever they were able to make it into endgame, they normally had very high elims. They got an 11 elimination second, 4 elimination 8th, and a 15 elimination second. I really hope Shark is finally on a trio that can actually maximize his full potential. And I think we have to start having some real discussions as well that this really could be a top 10 team in a grand finals lobby. 7th place was Pingwax and Malabuka. Now Malabuka was actually saying that he was getting contested by macro cheaters off spawn. And looking at their match history, it looks like they only ended up losing 1 time there. I'm very curious how these guys would actually look if they are able to get Demon's Domain completely uncontested, because I think a lot of us would probably agree that they would most likely look like one of the best teams on the entire region, if not the best team on the entire region. But still, a 7th place in their first tournament while contested, not too bad. 8th place is another team that is playing their first Div Cup finals together of Focus Mixin and Upple on 211. 9th place was Fido King and Jewel, and then rounding out the top 10 was Trulex, Teeny, and Skavi. So that does mean we have a lot of big names outside of that top 10, like 11th place of Raxianis and Kidowo on 173, a team that we might have to consider to potentially be the most disappointing team of the day, unfortunately. In 12th place of Vico, Vino, and Flixie. Now you guys know how high I have been on this trio. I've always been the one to believe in them, even when people have been saying that they're not the same as what they used to be. These guys were completely uncontested at Brutal Boxcars for all 6 games today, and only had 1 game inside of the top 16. Now the 1 game that they were able to make it into endgame, they ended up winning with a 17 elimination win, but this trio was just really over aggressive pretty much every single one of their games. They ended up taking mid-game fights, and if you look at their match history, in most of those games they just literally ended up dying. I'm not really 100% sure how they actually need to fix this strategy. It seems like they just didn't necessarily have anybody around them to trade with, since everybody was contested off spawn. The reason why I was especially so high on them this week is because I thought that since so many people were conned around them, they would have pretty much free pickings for who they wanted to third party and take eliminations off of. But clearly that is just not what happened today, and this is definitely a very disappointing start to their season, especially considering that they are completely uncontested. We even saw a clip that Vino tweeted out of him crashing out on Flixie, but he did still say the UK heat wave had me feeling crazy. I apologize after, by the way. So I don't think there's any real like beef between this trio. You know, when you have people with personalities like Vico, Vino, and Flixie on your trio, you're bound to have some crash out moments. So that is what we saw today too.
Lyrics, you live?
No, but why the f aren't you telling me he's there? Why? Why are you telling me you see him? Are you not coming to me he's there? It's dumb! Why, bro?
But where some of the legit drama started today is 14th place of Chino, Pablo, and Ferdoxy. This team finished with 164 points, won one of their 6 matches, and got 29 total elims as well. Now they started off this tournament with a bang, winning their first match off spawn and then going on to get a 12 elimination win. But then after that, they were really good off spawn, but it didn't really correlate to much end game success. If you're wondering what the final score was between Chino, Pablo, and Ferdoxy and MrSavage, Chap, and Rezon, there is technically 3 different scores you could say. You could either say it was 5-1 in favor of Ferdoxy, because in the very final match, Ferdoxy ended up killing Savage and Chap, but Rezon ended up disengaging and got away. I see a lot of Savage fans saying that that is 4-2 for Savage, since Rezon was the last one alive, because then Ferdoxy ended up getting cleaned up by a third-party team. Or you can say it was 4-1-1 in favor of Ferdoxy, which is probably the one that I'm going to end up going with. A lot of the time, Savage's trio did have the better drops. They just weren't necessarily getting the floor spawns, but that could also be a double-edged sword, because you could technically be like, oh, Savage was getting the better drops pretty much 9 times out of 10, and they still ended up losing 4-1 off spawn. I think this does kind of just go back to what I was saying at the beginning of the season, that I did kind of wish that Savage's trio tried to just claim a mid-tier POI, get that spot completely uncontested, because one of the last people you want to get in an ego battle with, especially off spawn, is Ferdoxy's trio. Ferdoxy is literally a team that already has a land spot secured. Ferdoxy is quite literally known for being an off spawn player, and Savage is trying to contest the best POI on the map with no land spot, and not necessarily like the craziest off spawn rep either. If you're wondering how MrSavage did, they unfortunately finished in legit dead last today, 33rd place, only getting 12 points in 6 total matches. We then ended up getting to see Ferdoxy and Savage going back and forth on Twitter. Ferdoxy tweeted out 5-1 with a picture of him making the L in game to MrSavage, and then he also ended up tweeting out MrSavage's placement as well, and Savage ended up reacting to the tweet, and this is what he had to say about that.
Bro, what is this tweet, bro? 5-1, $3,600 with an L, bro. Like, good shit, bro. You've played Fortnite for 8 years and you made $100,000, bro. If you would have worked in a Burger King restaurant, you would have made more than that in half the time, bro. You live in your mom's basement. You have no education.
We do still have a lot of other trios to go over, like 17th place of Contri, Perdage, and Finnick. This is actually the trio that was contesting Mongrel off spawn, and Perdage's trio ended up beating Mongrel's trio 5-1 off spawn this week. Mongrel unfortunately finished in 31st place. Again, I mean, kind of just a rough situation for both of the trios involved. Definitely not anywhere near as much drama came out of that though. We pretty much just got a tweet that said 5-1 off spawn by Perdage, and then he said love getting griefed, and then pretty much Hydro just tweeted out VOD review and come back stronger. We lost the battle but not the war, so it looks like Mongrel's trio is still in good spirits, all things considered. And oh yeah, speaking of good spirits, it also seems like MrSavage, Chap, and Rezon aren't really like depressed over this or nothing. Chap literally was still trolling even when they were losing like 4-1 off spawn. They do still seem to love playing together, and as of right now, in this current moment of me recording this, it doesn't look like they're leaving the drop either. We had some other big names struggle today, like 22nd place of Vidil, Cringe, and Volko, Dexy, Eclipse, and Twy in 24th, Cammy, Seti, and Hari in 27th place while being completely uncontested. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to like, bro, I'm not even trying to like make fun of them or nothing, bro, but 3 elims in 6 matches while being completely uncontested is it's not the best, we'll just say that. 27th place, Camus and Hari, they're banned from the predictions. We also had like Tayson, Frisk, and Chicho in 28th, another trio that was unfortunately contested, so they weren't really able to do too much out of that. I want to try a little bit something different for the EU statistics. I want to go over KXR's stat system, and let me know in the comment section down below if you guys like Kinch's or KXR's better. So the highest rated player in this tournament was Pixie. The most eliminations was 20 eliminations for Hyper, so super underrated player getting the most elims. Pixie finished with the most assists as well of 37 total assists. He also finished with the most damage dealt of 6,065. So I mean, Pixie just played absolutely out of his mind today for only playing 5 total matches too, keep in mind. Here are the zones as well. I know a lot of you guys were really interested in this when I actually showed them for the grand finals, so I wanted to put them up on the screen right here as well. Looking at these zones, I honestly am even more surprised how bad Vico, Vino, and Flixie did, because this is honestly really solid zones for them. Also, 2 zones were literally right next to Flooded Frogs, so also massively helping Pixie's trio as well. Other than that though, very long video for EU. Let me know what you guys think about everything we went over in the comment section down below. Remember, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, as we are so close to 110,000 subscribers. Please just go K-Dog in the Fortnite item shop if you guys want to support me even more. YouTube says to enjoy one of these two videos up on the screen right now, so go check them out if you guys haven't already. Follow me on my Twitter and my Twitch, linked in the description down below. If you guys want to watch any of these future tournaments with me, thank God for another day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.